Some stories aren't just told, they're remembered. They're basically etched into the very fabric of the cosmos, seen by whatever was there at the dawn of time. So today, we're going to open the book on one of those stories, the birth of the Red Spectre. This, right here, this is the whole heart of the story. It's this brutal, honest truth that change, real transformation, it's not gentle. Nope, it needs a fire, some kind of catalyst to just shatter what was, to clear the way for what's coming next. And that is the law the Red Spectre is about to become. So here are the two big players, the fundamental forces in this universe. On one side, you've got stasis. Think of it as the past, absolute, unchanging law. Picture the endless ice of a place called Ginnunga Gap. Then on the other side, you have chaos. That's the future, raw, untamed, the primal fire of Muspelheim. Everything, and I mean everything that happens from here on out, is born from the clash between these two. Okay, so let's start there, in that total silence. Before creation, before any kind of warmth, there was this being, and his whole job was just to maintain this perfect, frozen, unchanging order. This was his entire philosophy. Stasis wasn't just, a state of being. It was a deep belief. The idea that without this rigid, unbending structure, the universe would just dissolve into nothing. The problem is, in that perfect order, there is no life. There's no growth. There's just a forever, unchanging stillness. Just try to picture a soul coated in iron rime. It's a frost so hard, so cold, it's basically like metal. He was a creature of pure logic. No feelings, no change, just a silent guard watching over an eternal silent winter. But you know how it is. Nothing, not even a frozen void, can last forever. And right at the edge of his perfect, sterile world, something else was stirring. A call coming from beyond the silence. Something loud and hot and very, very alive. And this is chaos. It's not just messy, it's the raw, untamed engine of the cosmos itself. It's the force of creation and destruction all at once. The blinding inferno of Muspelheim, the land of the fire giants. It's basically everything his world of stasis was not. And so the inevitable confrontation began. Now, this wasn't some random accident. It was a preordained moment in history, like a single frozen frame in a comic book called The Theft of Muspelheim. This was the instant that the Sentinel of Ice would finally face the furnace of creation. And right here, the unthinkable happens. Maybe that perfect silence had just become a prison, or maybe perfect order turned out to be perfectly empty. Who knows the real reason, but the Arbiter of Stasis makes a choice. Law itself, in all its perfect coldness, decides to reach for its exact opposite. Just think about that for a second. That's it. A hand reaching out from the cold darkness into the flickering wild light. Such a simple move, but it's an action that's going to shatter one universe and forge a brand new one. Everything hangs on this one single gesture. The moment of contact is instantaneous, it's cataclysmic. First, the icy skin touches the flame. Second, the primal fire doesn't just burn him, it roars into him. Third, that iron rime, the very soul of his cold logic, it just shatters like glass. And fourth, in the wreckage of his old self, the crimson spark is born. After all that chaos, there's just one single point of light left. The most important result is this one spark. And look how it's described. It's an infection, but it's also a blessing. It's both a wound and a gift. It is the beginning of absolutely everything that's about to happen. This just nails the internal conflict, doesn't it? I mean, can you imagine having your entire reality, your very essence just violated? But in that violation, you find a deep, profound new truth about everything. That's the paradox he's living with now. So the old Arbiter, he's gone, shattered by the flame. But out of those ashes, from that fusion of pure ice and pure fire, something totally new is forged. And this is where his new name really gets its meaning. Red is not just a color anymore. No, it's a concept. It's the vital, violent heat you need to burn down an old world so a new one can finally grow. It's the engine of change itself. This timeline just puts it all in stark contrast, right? He goes from being this passive guardian of what is to an active agent of what will be. He's not a warden anymore. He's a force of nature. And this change, It's totally irreversible. The Crimson Spark isn't some tool he can just pick up and put down. It's part of his being now. The fire he stole from Muspelheim burns inside him forever, a permanent reminder of the choice he made at the edge of that void.
So what does a being made of ice and fire do? Where does he even go from here? Well, his journey and his new purpose is really only just getting started.
The consequences of that one choice are absolute. 1. He can never, ever go back to the silent cold of his past. 2. His very existence is now the embodiment of that eternal tension between ice and fire. 3. This internal conflict is going to drive him on a new journey, a path through the 9 realms that leads to one single, ultimate destiny, the trial of the Aesir. And this brings us to his ultimate purpose. He is the necessary gardener. And sometimes a garden has to be cleared with fire before anything new can grow. That's his job now. Burn away the old, the stagnant, so the new can finally take root. Which kind of leaves us with this final thought, right? The Spectre lived in a world of perfect, absolute order. But that perfection was a frozen, totally lifeless prison. And it really makes you wonder, when order itself is what stops life and growth, is a little spark of chaos the only real way to be free?